Hi, Professor and classmates. My presentation today will discuss the life, works, and achievements of M Pei. The presentation today will consist of the following information: a biography, his work life and career, current life and his achievements, his major contributions to the design world, an architectural analysis of two of his greatest works, one being the Presidential Library for Jacqueline Kennedy and the Louvre Pyramid, his influence of technology in his designs, and a final conclusion. M Pei, also known as M Pei, is a Chinese-American architect who was born in Guangzhou, China on April 26, 1917. Pai was son to Tsuyi Pai and Lian Kuang and had four other siblings. During Pai's childhood, he spent most of his time in Canton and Hong Kong because his father was the director of the Bank of China. When his mother died in 1920, they moved to Shanghai. Pai's father was well connected with the British banks and wanted him to go study in England, but ultimately Pai chose to go study in the United States. Growing up in Shanghai inspired Pai at a young age. He watched the growing cityscape and large buildings go up, and this inspired his love for architecture. In 1935, at the young age of 17, Pai arrived in the United States to begin his studies at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He eventually transferred over to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge to study architectural engineering. He received his Bachelor of Architecture degree from MIT in 1940. In 1944, Pai took some time off his education to work for the National Defense Research Committee during World War II. He later went on to get his master's at Harvard Graduate School of Design. During his time at Harvard, he also worked as the assistant professor at the university. As the assistant professor, he was able to design several low-cost houses that won him recognition in the Arts and Architecture magazine. Before the beginning of his very successful career, Pai married Elaine Wu, who was also an architect. They went on to have four children: Chen, Li, Ting, and Lian Pai. After his student years, Pai landed a role as Director of Architecture at Webb & Cap, Inc. in 1948. This is where he created his first successful project, a two-story corporate building for Gulf Oil in Atlanta, Georgia. In 1955, Pai started his own practice called M Pai and Associates, which he later changed to Pai and Partners in 1966, and lastly Pai Cobb Fried and Partners in 1989. His firm, M Pai and Associates, also created some prominent buildings like the John Fitzgerald Kennedy Library in Boston, the Grand Louvre Pyramid in Paris, and the Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong. Moving on to his current life and achievements. Throughout Pai's life, he received many awards and achievements, like the Gold Medal of Architecture of the American Academy of Arts and Letters in 1979. In 1979, he also got the Gold Medal of the American Institute of Architects. A big one for him was in 1983, the Pritzker Prize. He also received the Medal of Freedom in 1993, awarded by President George W. Bush. He also received in 2003 the Lifetime Achievement Award of the Smithsonian Institute Cooper Hewitt National Design Museum. After a long career, Pai passed away in 2019 at the age of 102. The next slide is the major contributions to the design world. Pai is best known for his designs that use curtain walls, as he shows the importance of daylighting by incorporating a lot of glass. He was known as the master of curtain wall construction. Some great examples of this are the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of Cleveland, the Zhu Hao Museum in China, Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong, and the Louvre Pyramid in Paris. In 1980, Pai was considered a master of curtain glass construction. Pai also experimented with towers of precast concrete window frames. The system he developed proved to be quick to construct and did not require any additional fireproofing. This allowed for less expensive construction, and the concrete frames made the buildings more aesthetically pleasing. He later became known as the cost-conscious architect, which attracted a lot of developers. My first architectural analysis is the Presidential Library. One of M Pai's major works was the Presidential Library for Jacqueline Kennedy. Pai believed this was the most important commission of his life. In 1964, Jacqueline Kennedy met with Pai to discuss the project. Even though he did not have much experience at the time, she liked that he was filled with promise and that he had imagination and temperament to create a structure that would reinforce her vision of the library. Pai's initial design for the library included a translucent glass pyramid symbolizing President Kennedy's abruptly cut off life, a design that reemerged 25 years later in I.M. Pai's design for the expansion of the Louvre Museum in Paris. The site is located on 9.5 acres and overlooks the entrance of the Boston Harbor. The library was built adjacent to the Harbor campus of the University of Massachusetts in Boston at Columbia Point. They finally broke ground on June 12, 1977, and the building was comprised of 400 concrete piles and 100 feet to rock. The overall design of the building had to meet certain criteria due to limited space and budget. The design had to fulfill a complex mixed-use program while symbolically remembering the late young president, which translated into a contemporary timeless design. The building was developed to be split level with the museum on the lower level below ground and the key motive elements above. Pai's design was triangular shaped with 9 stories. The building was comprised of educational and administrative offices along with a theater and memorial pavilion. The interior was cohesive in the way it was designed. Guests can watch a quick film about the president and then can descend to the exhibition areas below. From the dark, guests will emerge into the sun-filled glass pavilion and are greeted by the enormous American flag. The building also includes a 115,000 square foot presidential library, which is a 9-story precast concrete tower that stands 120 feet high. The towers share a common border with the glass and steel pavilion that measures 80 feet by 80 feet and 115 feet high. The exterior was comprised of mainly precast panels. My second analysis is the Louvre Pyramid. Another great architectural piece designed by I.M. Pei was the Louvre Pyramid. Pei was commissioned in 1983 to create the Louvre Pyramid, which would be the grand entrance to the building. The pyramid, or the entrance to the Louvre, is the museum. The pyramid itself measures 116 feet wide by 70 feet high. The building is constructed using steel and aluminum. The large pyramid is also accompanied by 3 smaller pyramids that brought light into the museum. Lastly, there is an inverted pyramid visible from underground. The entire pyramid has giant panes of glass shaped into diamonds and triangles. The influence of technology and design was the new glass that was developed to build it. Pei's goal for this construction was that it was to have total transparency. The reason behind this was so that it did not obstruct the view of the palace. Pei was not satisfied with any glass because of its bluish-green tint. They then hired a manufacturing company, Saint-Gobain, to create a new type of glass. Months of research and development went into producing this glass. The company had to construct a special furnace to manufacture it, and the manufacturing process also removed iron oxides to get the perfect transparency. The pieces of glass were shaped into rhombuses and triangles. And these are my final thoughts. My final thoughts on I.M. Pei is that he was an amazing, innovative architect who created elegant and urban designs that were beyond his time. He was known to be a committed modernist due to his lack of tradition in design. He was well known for his sharp edges and his use of geometry and triangular shapes. His career was filled with great buildings and accomplishments that will stand the test of time. I.M. Pei, although retired, never rested on his success but continued to pursue his passion. I have added a quick quote at the end of the slide that says, "I want to bring out the best of the community and contribute something of permanent value." And that was said by I.M. Pei, and I believe that's exactly what he showed with his architectural pieces. Thank you everyone for your time, and I hope you enjoyed.